there. Welcome to Particle Measuring Systems Podcast. My name is Ugo, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Paul about our Lasair Pros. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, how does the Lasair Pro differ from previous generations?
Well, the Lasair Pro is actually a brand new product from Particle Measuring Systems. We didn't just take the previous generation Lasair 3 or Lasair 2 products and do a minor update to it. We actually redesigned the particle counter from the ground up. That include changing not only the way it looks in the user interface, but also the basics for the particle counting engine. So it's incorporated all the latest technology that PMS has learned from all the previous generations of producing particle counters.
Okay.
And in doing so, we've been able to take and bring in a lot of new functionality into the device. We brought in things that we previous generations never even considered having in particle counters. Some examples of those are the addition of the NFC tags for allowing users to log in or load recipes. Previous generations product always had the users having touch and pre-program the interface. With the NFC card, it's just a matter of touching an electronics device to the outside of the box, and it can load those types of recipes. Also, we've added additional technologies. As technology has advanced into the future, we've added a printer technology that incorporates a paper cutter. While that may seem like a minor addition to the product offering, it has allowed us to begin using cleanroom paper that is not just thermal paper, but actually cleanroom compatible. Previous generations used to have to bring a pair of scissors and cut the paper off. We've incorporated a paper cutter into the system. So it's even minor updates such as that have been a big deal adding to the product and anticipating what our customers' needs are in the future. Some of the other things is we've changed the touchscreen to a capacitive touchscreen. When touchscreens first came out, they never worked properly with gloved hands, so you had to use a stylus to do it. With the latest technologies on touchscreens, we've been able to incorporate screens that allow the users with gloved hands, multiple gloves, even the cotton fiber gloves on cotton gloves under regular gloves to touch the screens and operate just fine. So we've put the latest technology from the screen user interface onto the product as well. In addition to that, some of the updates not only to the physical unit, we've updated the user interface. While we did keep the traditional look and feel, so it allows for easy transition from our previous generation, the Lasair 3, to the Lasair Pro, we did add some additional capabilities into the device to allow it to be easier to use by customers. Some of the things that we did, we increased the number of locations that people can do. Adding a different structure to allow you to be able to find locations when you have many rooms much faster instead of having just a whole long list of scrollable locations. We now have a structure in place to be able to find it by area, room, and location, which will ease and speed up the use of the product as well. Another big thing that people wanted was more users, because as more locations have been stricter on security, they've been adding more and more personnel. So we've increased the number of users that can use the device and have to log in before they do it with security. In addition to adding that to the NFC capability, which basically makes the number of users that can use the instrument unlimited, which is a big advantage out there in the field. In addition to those types of functions, we still always meet the data integrity requirements. One of the first things we always have to do and everybody requires is 21 CFR Part 11, which basically means that we can't make any changes to the device and nobody can go in and change the data and falsify records. But in addition to that, we've added an Audit Trail capability to the device to be able to track any kind of changes that happen on the unit.
So there's been an emphasis on data integrity and quality. Could you tell me more about the Audit Trail capabilities?
Sure. The Audit Trail is something that we've added to the device. While not actually part of the regulations currently, more and more customers are asking for the ability to track what the users do to the device, whether that's logging in, going in and making changes to any kind of recipes, changing the flow rates, changing the times, those types of things. So we added an Audit Trail capability, which when turned on, will track every one of the user's actions with the device, whether that's just starting this device, stopping the device, going in and making changes to any settings. It tracks it to 100%. So you can see exactly what it was previously and what it was changed to. And while that's not a current regulation, Most of our customers are wanting to know what kind of interactions happen in the device. Are you sure no changes were made? With the Audit Trail capabilities, we are not only meeting today's requirements, but we're anticipating that need in the future when the regulations do catch up and say, hey, you do have to have a device that tracks every single minor change that might happen. So it's a something we've incorporated in anticipation of future needs is kind of the way I look at it.
I think it's a good foresight for what's going to be expected of us in the future. What other types of activities is the Lasair Pro good for?
So being a particle counter, the first and foremost, it's going to be counting particles. And there's typically two ways customers will use the device. One is for certification. And what that means is we can go out and do an ISO certification, ISO 14644, part one. So we can go out and do room certifications. We can also meet the GMP Annex 1 requirements for room certifications, China GMP requirements, and FS 209E requirements. And we do that through a couple different ways. One of them is a certification wizard, which basically allows the customer to put in information regarding their room, and it will actually come up and tell you how you're supposed to do the certification, number of locations, number of sample at each location, the amount of time you need to spend at each location. So it basically walks the user or the operator through doing a certification. But
Right.
there's also some flexibility that if you wanted to add, say, additional number of sample points at each location, you could do that as well. So it does provide you a wizard that gives you all the standard information, but gives you the flexibility to do additional monitoring points during the certification process if you want to as well. The second action that the unit's good for is routine monitoring. And with most portable devices, this unit has a local display, has a battery on it. So a user can take this from one place to another and monitor for particles, whether that's on a daily basis, weekly, or monthly. The device allows you to move it around from spot to spot and do the monitoring that way. Another thing that people sometimes overlook is the ability of portable counters to be able to use for doing spot checks or troubleshooting. So if there's an issue that comes up, you could take the portable device out, place it in that location, and kind of monitor for particles to see what's happening. A real time, give you a real time local indication because it has a display. And it also allows you the flexibility to move it around. Whereas on the FMS systems or the facility monitoring systems, the points are at a fixed location. You don't have that ability. So the portable devices like the Lasair Pro add a huge benefit to allow us to move it from spot to spot, not only for the routine monitoring, but also to troubleshoot if there's any issues out there.
So with the ability to move the Laser Pro here and Pro, are there any additional comments on the physical unit itself?
Yes. So one of the things that everybody always concentrates first and foremost is, does it count particles? Does it do the room certification? And how do I get the data out? But there's a lot that goes into the design of a particle counter as well. One of the ideas when we designed the Lasair Pro was to try to minimize any kind of areas that would cause particles to accumulate. So we kind of created a waterfall design, is how I like to say it. If you sprayed water on it, how would it roll off the unit? Does it pool anywhere? Are there flat spots? We designed the product in such a way that it's slightly aerodynamic, which allows any kind of materials, airflow, and particles to wash away and not accumulate on any flat surfaces or pool in any areas. We also decided when we designed it to minimize any kind of openings because customers do need to wipe and spray these units down on occasion for cleaning. So we want to minimize any cracks or crevices where materials could get into the device and cause damage. And speaking of that, when they do clean them, we did test the unit for compatibility with most common clean room chemicals, such as various alcohols, bleaches, those types of chemicals. We did test the 12 standard clean room chemicals that are in the market out there from a cleaning standpoint to assure that the unit itself is resistant to those chemicals. In addition to designing the unit to somewhat have a little bit of a waterfall approach, we made sure when we designed it that we didn't leave stuff sticking out. Previous generations had printers sticking out the side of the unit or connectors that may be accessible on the sides or back. We decided to incorporate as much as we could into the unit itself. For example, in this generation of product, the printer is actually inside the unit behind a door, and the only thing that comes out is the paper. So you're not going to have the printer sticking out into the room where it can accumulate and possibly get damaged as well. So we've designed it in that way. The batteries are also behind a secure door, so they're not sticking out where people can easily access or get to them. One of the other things that we've done on the design was to make it compatible with VHP from a pass-through standpoint. Many of our customers will take new units, and when they bring them into the clean room, they'll do a VHP pass through. Not that the unit's actually measuring or monitoring particles, but it does get passed in there, goes through a VHP cycle, and then gets actually taken into the clean room itself. We're not monitoring during that process. We're just basically saying the exterior is resistant to it, and you're not going to damage the unit by putting it through a VHP pass through.
So with all the software and actual physical updates to the Lasair Pro, how has the market reacted to the new product?
Well, this has actually been one of the faster adopting products that I've ever launched. I've been involved with many different product launches at particle measuring system here, and the Lasair Pro was probably one of the fastest adopted products I've ever seen, which shows that there's definitely a need and a demand out there for some current technology that incorporates a lot of the functions and features I mentioned here. Um, but I think one of the biggest things is it's very similar to our previous generation from a use, so it's easy adoption. But we've added the additional functions such as the audit trail, which our customers are becoming more and more conscious of that is going to be needed in the future. So I think that this has been a great product adoption rate. People seem to like it. It's been in the marketplace for almost a year now, and it's been adopted on a global basis, whether it's in U.S., Europe, Asia Pacific region. Pretty much a lot of people are adopting this one and switching from the older product to the newer one, and really enjoy the features and functions of this new product that we have.
Well, that's great. That's good news. And it's definitely a testament to everyone's hard work. Well, Paul, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you sitting down and sharing your knowledge with us.
Okay, you're welcome.